So that's the first step you would have to initiate, okay, if you are basically using Zotero. So let's assume that now,
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
yes.
Please, if you don't mind, because the recording just started, let's
Hmm.
start from the beginning so that when we are watching again, we'll get everything straightforward. Thank you.
All right, then I'll quickly try and do that. Thank you for drawing my attention. Thanks. All right, so I'll quickly try to run over again what I shared earlier on, just for the sake of the recording. So I assume you already have your Zotero app installed or the desktop manager installed, right? And so you should have an interface like this. And that is where you basically organize your files and get to communicate with Zotero. Normally, you would want to organize your files based on maybe themes or based on projects that you are working on. I normally organize my files based on particular research projects. So maybe if I'm working on aid, I'll gather all my files in an aid folder, as you see over here. So you may not necessarily have these folders because yours might be a fresh installation. To create a folder, you would have to, all right, click on this icon over here. There are many ways you can create a folder. But before that, you see that this library icon over here basically is telling you that all these files here are in your library. All right. But these files are also the same files that have been organized into the various folders you see over here. And that is basically what we are going to be going through quickly. Is that okay? All right. So now how then do we create a folder within our library? Now remember the library is the mother folder. Now just give me a minute.
Just give me a minute. You have to, you have to.
I don't know how to do that.
All right. Sorry for that. I wanted to disconnect other device over here in my room. Okay. So to create a folder, there are many ways. Okay. One simple way is to come up here, click on this icon over here, right? And then it gives you opportunity to create a collection. What I call a folder is called collection. And then you give it the name, right? So you can give it any name you want. Let's make it reference training, reference manager training. Right. And then this is telling me that I'm creating this folder in my library. Once I click on create collection, it creates this folder over here, right? So that's how we create a collection or a folder. Now, based on a particular project you are working on, you might want to create a sub collection or subfolder. How do you go about it? How do you go about it? So you just have to right click on this reference manager folder and then click on sub collection. And then you now give it another name. Okay, so we can make it day 1. And then it's telling me that you are creating this folder in the reference manager training folder or collection. Once you approve, it now creates the day 1 folder within reference manager folder. And the reference manager folder is in the library. Are we together? Are we all on the same page before I proceed? Can I get some feedback in the chat box quickly before I proceed?
Yes, please.
All right, great. Good. So now, what is the next thing you would want to do? Now that you have created your folder, you will now want to populate your folder. If I say populate your folder, it means fill your folder with the files you would want, right? There are many ways. Okay, Zotero has many ways that you can use to populate your folder. All right. So now I'll take us through the various ways that you can use, and then I think you just go with what is easier for you or what you consider the most convenient. So the first one is using object identifiers. Now, if you see this icon over here, you realize that this gives the opportunity to add something, okay, to add various type of files. And then this icon says you can add an item by an identifier. And then we have this icon also saying add an attachment. And then this one basically gives you the opportunity to add a note. All right, so let's start with adding items by an identifier. So once you click on this icon over here, it tells you you can enter ISBN, DOIs, PMIDs, ARXIV, IDS, or ADS bib codes to add to your library. And that's what we are going to try, right? So I pre-saved some few identifiers for us to try it. I did that to just save time and make it easy. So now there is one PMID. Now these are various identifiers that you find in publications or reports based on your field. Okay, so I click here and I paste this PMID. This is what I pasted here, this PMID. And then you click on enter. What happens is Zotero will now go online and then search online and try to access that particular document or file that you entered its code over here in the dialog box over here. So realize that Zotero has been able to access the file. It says that this file is titled Blood-Brain Barrier Overview, a structural and functional correlation. If you look to the right of your screen, this part of the screen gives you the metadata, okay, or the information about this particular file. So Zotero is saying that this item is a journal article. This is the title of this journal article. This is the author's name. It was published in Neural Plasticity or Plasticity. And the date of publication was 2021. And then it gives you other information, the DOI and various other stuffs, right? So if the file is a open access file, Zotero can also download the associated file. But if it's a subscription-based file, Zotero can still give you the metadata, but will not be able to download the actual file. Now here, you realize that these are the associated files that Zotero downloads. I see Matthew Galia says he can't see the screen. Is it only Matthew or family? Can you confirm if others can see, then perhaps it will be a problem specifically with Matthew?
Please, for me,
Yeah, I
All
can
right.
see.
I can see from my.
Okay, great. Then Mr. Matthew, I think you may have to check. Perhaps it's your network. All right, thank you. So now we have these files all associated with blood-brain barrier. If I should double click on this full text PDF, Zotero has an inbuilt ebook viewer where you can now read the associated paper. So you realize that I'm still within Zotero, but Zotero has an inbuilt what do you call it, ebook viewer. All right, so you're able to, you can read, you can highlight, you can annotate, you can make notes, just like you can do in your typical or your average, what do you call it, ebook reader or ebook viewer. All right, so that is the PMID that we tried. Okay, and that was for this paper. Are we good on that? Quickly, before we proceed to another approach.
Let's try the DIO.
No worry, I'll be going through as many identifiers as I can. So no worries at all. I just want us to be on the same page that we are okay with using the PMID just as one way to add a file. So now let's try another approach so you can easily close this file. So now you realize that there is ISBN DOI. So let me check my list and see any other link I may have. So I have ISBN. So let me use this ISBN as another identifier. And let's see what Zotero would offer. So I come to my icon, I click on it, and then I paste this identifier, I press enter, and then Zotero will go back to work again and try to access the file associated with this ID. So now Zotero comes back and says, hey, I got this file, defining democracy, voting procedures in decision-making, elections, and governance. And then it gives the metadata over here. Zotero is saying that this file is actually a book written by Emerson Peter. It's a second edition published in 2012, and the publisher is Springer, published in New York. All right. So you realize that Zotero is able to have access to various files. It all depends on what you feed it. Okay, so this is a book, and based on maybe the strength of your internet, the feedback might vary from few seconds to maybe a lot more. Okay, so I have this file already in my Zotero library. All right, and let's take note that because I click here before adding all these documents are in my day one folder. And day one folder is in the reference manager folder. So take note, okay, so that you don't get confused as to where you ended up placing your files. So now let's try maybe one more. Let's use a DOI, okay? So this, a DOI. All right, so I copy this DOI, and then I come to Zotero, and then I now paste it over here. And then let's see what Zotero has for us. All right, so Zotero comes back quickly. It says that this file is titled Going Beyond Aid, Development Cooperation for Structural Transformation. And it says the other day is a journal article, as you can see to the right side of my screen, written by Kim. And then the journal is International Relations of the Asia Pacific, published in 2019. And basically all various other information, right? You can scroll through and then find out things for yourself. All right, so this was the DOI as an identifier. So we have tried 3 different identifiers. There are many more you can try. So these IDs are based on your fields, okay? They vary. I think you know your field, so you know what is what they call relatively convenient for you to use. Okay, I'll try one more DOI, and then I think we'll wrap up on using this identifier as a way to add up. Okay, so I go here once more, I click on enter, and then let's see what Zotero says. So quickly, Zotero comes back and says, okay, I got this file. This is a sustainable livelihood framework for the 21st century written by this author. It's a journal article published in World Development. All right. And then it's associated with all this information. Now, you can see the difference. Here, for all these files, there were no drop-down arrows associated with this file. This is basically telling you that Zotero is saying that I was able to only get the metadata for this file. Metadata means the information associated with that particular file, but Zotero couldn't get the document associated with that particular metadata because perhaps it's behind a paywall. Paywall means you have to pay before you access. But those that are open access, Zotero would be able to download them for you, just like it did with this one. And one way to also confirm is when you check to the right side over here, you realize that if there is an attachment, Zotero would show with an icon. So all of this file, there is no attachment icon here. It's telling you that here you only have the metadata, here you only have the metadata, here you only have the metadata. And it is only the second one that has an associated document. And then when you see this white file, the white file over here, normally Zotero uses this file to represent an article, the metadata for an article, right? And then if you see this sign, normally Zotero is saying, okay, this is a book. As we add different file types, you realize that Zotero will be using different icons for different file types. We will get to see that as we progress. All right, so are we good with adding items using the identifiers before we go to another way to add items? Can I get some feedback in the chat box? If you are good, just type okay or yes or emoji before we proceed. Quickly. All right, great. Okay, good. So we are on the same page. All right, so now we are going to try to add items using the browser connector. Okay, so I connected my Zotero to my Chrome. So perhaps your browser might be different from mine. Maybe you connected yours to another browser. I connected mine to Chrome. So you see here, this is the Zotero connector, right? So how then do we add an item using Zotero connector? Let's try to visit maybe any general website. I saved some links to make it easier for us to access. Okay, so let's just maybe go to any, let's perhaps go to Word Development Journal. All right, and then let's go to any of their papers. All right, so this should take me, and I'll just try to access any of their issues. So let's use maybe the latest issue. All right, and then let's click here. Now, you realize that once I came to this article page, what do you see here? You realize you see a change. Zotero is now showing me this icon. This is the same icon we have over here, right? So Zotero is telling me that, okay, Philip, you're on this page, and I can see a file on this page, and that file is a journal article. So Zotero is saying, this is my sign, or this is my cue to you that this is a file I am finding on this particular page you are on. Once I click on this icon here, Zotero is saying, okay, I can save this information. Where do you want me to save it? You want to save it in day one folder or whatever folder, you just have to choose. Since you are working with day one folder, let's click on day one folder. And then once we click on it, Zotero will now put it in this folder. And then you realize that once we come back to our Zotero, let's take note of the title. This one says Climate Change Vulnerability. All right, so I come to Zotero, and Zotero says, oh, okay, I got you covered. I have this file over here, Climate Change Vulnerability and the Resilience of Energy Consumption. And Zotero was able to take a snapshot of the web page. So you see the snapshot over here. The snapshot is not the document associated with the file, the metadata. It is just a snapshot, like the name suggests, a snapshot of the page where it got this paper. And we got this paper from this page. So Zotero added a snapshot. Now, Zotero didn't add the file because this particular publication perhaps is not open access. So Zotero is not able, right, to, so you realize sometimes it may be open access, but depending on the strength of your, what do you call it, of your internet, Zotero may take some time. It may take maybe some few seconds or a minute before Zotero will be able to download the file. All right, so you just have to give it some time. Sometimes it can still get the file, but it will take a while, depending on your the strength of your internet. So let's assume maybe either Zotero is trying to download the file, or this is not an open access file. I'll try one more, maybe from a different journal website. Which one? Let's use maybe another Journal of International Development. Okay, so let's try to access Wiley or Wiley, however you choose to call it. And then let's go to their website and try to once again use the Zotero browser connector. All right, so we are here. Let's try to get any of their publications. All right, so this is an open access article. That works great. So let's click on it. And then it says this is an open access. You realize that Zotero is still loading, and then quickly it gives me this signal that, okay, I have access to some information on this web page. Now let's click here. Zotero is saying I can save to day one, and you realize that Zotero is telling me, okay, this is the file that is associated with this, or this is the title associated with this file. Okay, I can save it in day one folder. I click done, and then Zotero would give me access to the file. sometimes Zotero will struggle. Even if some files are open access, sometimes it takes some time before Zotero would eventually be able to download it. I would also show you a trick. If Zotero is struggling to access the file, though it's open access, another thing you can do is sometimes you can click on this PDF option here, and then it will take you to the page where the PDF is open. And then now you can click on this connector icon or the extension here. And most often, Zotero is able to handle it much better when it can directly read the associated file. All right, so sometimes there are some bugs that perhaps may hinder Zotero from adding the PDF, even though the file may be open access. So you just have to figure out what works best at your end. All right, so we have this information here, and you realize that here Zotero is a bit confused. Zotero is now saying that what I'm seeing here is actually a web page. All right, but meanwhile, we want Zotero to access the PDF. We try to use the connector directly from the web page, but till now Zotero has still not given us the PDF. That is why it is good to familiarize yourself with multiple ways that you can use to add documents into your Zotero folders. So I would go to other ways so that in case maybe your Zotero fails to add even after clicking from here, because sometimes bugs exist. We know sometimes bugs exist in apps and softwares. All right, so this is another way, different from what we had done earlier on. Now let's see if perhaps we could have an access to an open access file from another web page. Okay, I'm just using different journal pages. So that as we try, you basically get more like a diversified experience. So let's quickly verify this. All right, so we are on another web page now, a journal page. So this also says it's open access. So let's click on it and see if Zotero will be able to directly download, including the file. All right, so here we have another paper, and Zotero is telling me that, okay, I have access to metadata on this particular page. All right. Okay, so let's go back to the browser. So now let's click here. And Zotero is saying, okay, I can download this file. And now finally Zotero is saying, okay, I have access to the text too. All right, so you see it's saying here, showing you the PDF. So now let's click on this to finalize, and let's see if Zotero will be able to eventually. So based on I think the makeup of various journal sites, sometimes Zotero finds it easy to download the metadata and the PDF. Sometimes Zotero struggles, depending on, I think, different stuff happening behind the scenes. So here, this is our new paper, and then Zotero was able to download the metadata, as you can see over here. It's saying that this is a journal article. These are the author's name. This is the journal or the public. This is the journal in which the paper was published, right? And then various other information. And now it has the PDF, so we can double click on this, and Zotero gives us access to the PDF or the document associated with this file. All right, so I believe this gives us a comprehensive experience, basically on how to add using the browser connector. Are we good with it? Any questions before we proceed to another way to add file in Zotero folders or collection? Are we good? Can I get some feedback so that we go to another approach you can use? Can I get some? Okay, great. So, all right, good. Okay, so another way that you could use is perhaps maybe you didn't know about Zotero and you already had all your PDFs, okay, on perhaps your hard drive, or you already had them downloaded on your laptop. How then do you get them here? There are many ways. There are basically many ways you can do that. One way that you can do that, okay, is I find it easy to drag and drop. All right, so I already have some PDFs in my folder over here. I can just drag this file and then drop it over here, and Zotero would automatically find the metadata of this particular paper. So Zotero would be still able to access all the metadata for this paper, right? So quickly, you realize that Zotero did the same thing it did for the other approaches. So it tells me this paper is titled Chinese Aid and Local Corruption. This is all the information you need to know about the paper. It's published in Journal of Public Economics. Blah, 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 blah. It gives you all this information, including the abstract, everything. And then now I can even double click on the PDF and read it. I can highlight, I can do whatever I want, just like I do in the PDF viewers or ebook viewers, just like you do. So that's a great option. So that's one way. You just can drag and drop. You can do for multiple, you can even do for folders. I can highlight maybe as many as I want. I drag them over and I drop them here. And Zotero will take its time, okay, to gradually get all the information. So it says here, Zotero is retrieving the metadata. So once it's finished retrieving all the metadata, it will give you more like a check mark over here. Okay, I'm done gathering all the information you need for this file. I'm done gathering for this. I'm done gathering for this. I'm done gathering for this. So it gives you a go ahead and okay, I got you covered. I was able to get all the information you need about this particular document. Then you can close it. So we see here, this is one of the files we just added, right? Zotero is able to populate all these sections to give you the information. This was published in Democratization, right? These are the author's names, this is the title. Basically, that is it. Are we good with this drag and drop? If the documents are in a folder, it doesn't matter. Zotero can still get them in the folder. Once you drag and drop, you are covered. Any question on this approach? Are we good? Before I proceed to another approach. Can I get some quick feedback quickly? I don't want to leave people behind. That is why I make sure that we're on the same page before I go to the next thing, since I want us to have the experience as much as we can.
Oh, so
All right.
you mean you can drag the whole folder?
Is someone coming in? I heard someone talking.
Yeah, Filippo.
Yes, can you please speak louder a bit? I see DA.
Yeah, you can drag the whole folder.
Your voice is really low. I hope it's not from my end. Can you come again, DA? All right, I guess DA will come later.
If you can drag the whole folder.
Come again?
Can you drag the whole folder?
Oh yes, you can. Let's give it a try. All right. Let's give it a try. Let's create a quick folder. Okay, let's name it try, right? And then let's put some few other stuffs in there. So let's put these 3 stuffs in there. So let's put them in this folder, right? So these are the files in this folder. Let's try. Once we drag and drop them here, let's see what transpires. All right, so it seems Zotero is not able to respond to the folder. Let me be sure. So Zotero is not able to respond to the folder. However, there is another approach you can do. So maybe if the files are in the folder, maybe the easiest way is to highlight all of them and drag, because it seems Zotero, I thought it should be able to respond to the folder, but it's not responding. So I think one thing you can do is open the folder and then highlight all the files and rather drag them this way. It's not responding. Maybe Zotero is still processing the folder. All right. So dragging and dropping, Zotero responds much better to it. And then Zotero is adding these files. So it means it doesn't respond to the folder. Nevertheless, there's another way. You realize that there is an option of add attachment here. You can click here, come to add file. So if you don't want to drag and drop, you can add file, right? And then Zotero would add the file you select. So let's select this file and then let's choose open. Maybe let's go back here. No, we've already added these files. So let's add this file. I have not added this file yet. And let's click open. And then Zotero would be able to add this file to, what do you call it? Your folder that you have open here. So it means dragging and dropping folder. I thought Zotero would be able to respond, but seems Zotero does not pick the folder. Let's try one more time to see if it will directly pick a folder again. Try 2. So let's now just put maybe rethinking political trust into this folder. So let's be sure it's in there. All right. So and let's try one more time. If it doesn't pick, then it means Zotero does not respond to a direct drag and drop of folder, but rather a selection. All right. But nevertheless, I don't think that should be a challenge because if you have a populated folder, if your folder has a lot of files, you just have to go to the folder and just press Ctrl+A. It will select all your files. And then you can drag and drop them. And that should work. DA, I hope that helps. All right, good. Great. Okay, so now that is one approach using the add file. So we have done 2 approaches right now. We drag and drop, and then we use the add file. Okay, so we added the file. Okay, I'll try one more time. Okay, so maybe I add this file. Zotero would bring this file in here. There are many approaches. All right, now what then next perhaps can we do to add some files? Now, the next thing we can do is perhaps you have a custom file you want to add. Maybe you have your own working paper that you want to be able to cite as you are doing your own work, but the paper is not published online. But maybe you want to be able to cite it in whatever project you are working on. It's just like you want to do something custom. Now, there's a cool way to do it in Zotero. If you check up here, you realize that we have this option of new item. If you click the drop-down arrow, it gives you a long list of items you can add, right? So here it gives you the opportunity to do custom documentation. So now let's go with maybe I have a conference paper, I have a data set, I have a report. It is not online. I just want to be able to put it so that I can cite it in a particular thing I'm working on. So let's go with reports. So I click on reports. You realize that Zotero gives a report a different icon. So this is the icon for report in Zotero. This is the icon for a PDF in Zotero. This is the icon for a book in Zotero. This is the icon for a website in Zotero, a web page in Zotero. So Zotero associates different icons to different files. So now once I have this file created, I just have to give it a name. How then do we give it a name? You have access to all these options here that you can modify. So this is a report. Let's give it a title, NUGS Training Report. I click enter and then it quickly changes the name over here as you can see. Who is the author? The author is Atitianti. Normally you proceed with the, what do you call it? The surname, right? And then here is the first name. Now you are seeing these options popping up here because I already have my published papers in my Zotero library. That's why you're seeing this here. But you may not see it there if you don't have any existing work of yours there. So if I should just click on this, it will automatically fill it up for me, right? So it will automatically fill it up. And then you can now fill the rest of the information. What's your institution? Maybe our institution is NUGS. What's the place? The place is maybe China or whatever. You can fill all this information by yourself. 2026. You can fill in all this information, and after filling in all this information, you can cite that particular document or work like you do for all the standard publications or papers or articles. Family, are we good with that? Did you give that a try? Are we good with that? So this is a custom way. Maybe let's try one more time for a different document. What else should we try? So maybe let's try a conference paper. Okay. So realize that this is the icon for a conference paper. The same thing. What's the title of this conference paper? Let's make it NUGS Conference. The last name, I've seen DA has asked a question. So let's make it DA. DARM is the author. What's the title or what's the proceedings? Shama, you can fill it. Okay, we'll make it NUGS Conference. Again, conference name, reference, management, workshop. Publisher, Shama, you fill in all this information. Okay, place, let's make it China. Publisher, NUGS. Date, 2026. And then you'll be able to cite it in your document, just like you do for any other standard document. All right, any feedback? Are we good? Are we on the same page? Can I get some feedback in the chat box? Okay, good.
Sorry, could you please repeat that option for me? I couldn't get it well.
You mean the adding file manually?
No, I mean with the conference paper, like the way you were just doing.
All right. That was Shadrach, right?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So I'll give it a try one more time. So you just have to come up here. You see the add, what do you call it? The new item option. So you click on the drop down arrow. There are many document types you can choose. So let's try for conference paper. So maybe I have a conference paper I want to be able to cite and have access to and all kind of stuff. So you click on conference paper. Then Zotero puts it up here. But it doesn't have any information. It's just saying that this is a conference paper. You see up here it says info. The only info we have about this file is that it's a conference paper. Right? So let's say the title of the conference paper is Shadrach. Shadrach's question. That's the title of our paper. I didn't see Shadrach's last name, so I'll put Shadrach. So the author is Shadrach. Right? Conference proceedings is conference. Conference name, NUGS Conference. Now, I saw DA asking whether you have to fill everything. You don't have to fill everything here. No, you don't. Just that what you fill here is what Zotero will use when you have to cite the document in your writings. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to fill in every details. If you have access to all these details that you want to fill, you can go ahead and fill. But I think for citation purposes, there are some key things that you have to fill. For example, if it's a journal article that you are adding custom information to, you have to definitely fill the publisher, you have to fill the year, right? It will be good to fill in the DOI. It will be good to fill in the maybe the pages, or sometimes even the volume and some key. If it's a book, you definitely need the publisher, where it was published, and other key informations. But some other options you may not necessarily have to fill. All right, Mr. Shadrach, are we good? Did you get it now?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Powerful, very good. Okay. Any other question before we proceed? So now, assuming you've created this custom metadata, you want to associate a file with it. How do you go about it? There are many ways. One way is I normally really enjoy the drag and drop approach, okay? So you realize that this is our links folder. Let's assume that this links folder is our conference paper. How then do we associate it with, where is the conference icon? Yes, so this is our conference. How then do we associate it with this conference icon so that we know that this conference metadata and the paper are one? You can just come up here and open your file, whatever it is, and then you can just drag and drop it onto the metadata you already have, and then it would put it beneath it as a single file. So you realize that here we now get a drop-down arrow, and it associates the PDF with the conference metadata. So when I double-click it, I can still read it and open it. That is one way. Did we get that? I'll try one more time. So let's assume that I have a document on my computer. It's a training report. I have created this. What do you call it? This NUGS training report metadata, and I want to associate a file with it. So I can just come here and then just drag and then drop the file on that particular metadata, and then it will become a part of it. So you see here, it's now more like a sub file under this NUGS training report. So once I click on this, I can always have access to that PDF. Was that approach okay and cool? I think you may find it handy. Are we good on that? All right. Now, okay, great. In case you joined late, please feel free to draw my attention if you feel you are being left behind. Okay, feel free to draw my attention on what perhaps you missed out.
Hello.
Yes.
Please, I would like to ask, what if the author, like the one you are setting manually, there are 2 or 3 authors? How are you going to go about it?
Powerful. That's a good question. All right, so let's click back on the metadata. As long as you click on the metadata, you would have all these options popping up for you to modify or edit. So this is one of the things we created as a custom file. If you come up here, you realize that you see the minus option or delete and then add, right? Okay, I hope you're able to see it. Delete or add. So this is showing you that you can add more authors. If I click on this add option, it gives another option. So was it Ramona, right? Let's say our second author is Ramona. Did I see that right? Or Romana? Let's go with Ramona. Ramona, Sister Ramona. The voice sounded like a lady. So let's make it Sister Ramona as the name. So we have added a second author. If you want to add a third author, just go ahead and click on it. Right? And then you add a third author. I've seen someone named George. Let's go with George. But remember, normally the last name would have to precede the last name and then the first name. So let's say George Mawuli. I think I've also seen Mawuli in the chat box somewhere. All right, so this is how you add multiple authors. Well, is that okay?
Yes, please.
Great.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Any other question on this particular part that we are working on? All right. So I presume there isn't a question yet. Now, let's try another way. Let's create, I don't have any custom file. Okay. So let's still bring this link file into our Zotero. Now, because this document doesn't have any information associated with it, Zotero will not be able to get any metadata because this is just a custom document I created. But nevertheless, let's still bring it in the Zotero folder we created for day 1. So Zotero puts it over here. You realize that even if we wait for the whole day, all right, Zotero Now, I think Zotero associated some file with it because we had done it earlier on. So let's create a new document that is not associated with any file. So let's create maybe this is a document. And then we will not, let's save it as a PDF in our trainings folder. Let's give it the name custom. And then let's save it as PDF. Okay, custom. And then let's move it into Zotero. So let's use this add file approach. So let's come here, add file. And then this is our custom. Let's put it in Zotero. So it's over here. I hope you all can see. So this is our custom file. Even if I wait for some minutes or second, realize that Zotero is not doing much because this is a custom file I created. Zotero doesn't have any information about this file. So if the file is already in your library and you want to associate some metadata to it, you can still do that. You remember the first one, we created the metadata first before we added the file. But here we are assuming that we have the file first. How can we put the metadata? You can do that in at least one way. Once you right-click the file, it gives you many options. You'll just want to come up here, down here, and then you realize we have retrieve metadata, create parent item, reindex item. Okay, so we will not focus on these ones yet. Let's choose create parent item. So Zotero is telling you, okay, you want to create a parent item. Would you want to create a parent item using a DOI, shama, any kind of ID, or you want to go for a manual entry? If you click manual entry, Zotero now gives you the same thing we did earlier on. You can now click here and choose whatever file this is. Let's say this is a book chapter or a book section. So I'll click here. What's the title? My first custom book. Who is the author? Let's go with Abdullah. I've seen Abdullah in the chat box. Let's say Abdullah. Abdullah Yakubu is the author. Right? Great. And then I can now give the book title. This is the title of my book section or book chapter. So don't get confused. That's why it's showing you title and book title. So this is the title of my book section or chapter. And then the main book title is, let's say, custom books. And then you go ahead and fill in all the information. Once you are done, you realize that Zotero now gives it the icon of a book section. You see it down here. And then when you click on the drop-down arrow, you can have access to the PDF. When you double-click on the PDF, you realize that it shows what I have typed. This is a document. Okay, so that's another way you can create a custom file and then associate a custom metadata to it. Are we good?
Yes, please.
All right. So now let's go to maybe one more approach that you can use to add files. I know a lot of us use Google Scholar, so let's go to an approach that is suitable for Google Scholar. So I'll come back to my browser over here, and now I'll go to Google Scholar. All right. So maybe you want to add different file. Let's maybe any file. All right. So let's type Chinese aid. And then we have various publications on Chinese aid. Okay, so now, assuming I want to add just the metadata of these publications, okay, or these papers into my Zotero folder. Now, for us to be able to distinguish, I feel like we are adding a lot of information here. So let's create another subfolder. Okay, let's create a new collection. Let's make it day 1. Folder 2. Okay, so that we now put different files here for the Google Scholar version. So I'm on Google Scholar now. Now, if you want to get the metadata for that particular paper using Google Scholar, if you check up here, you see that now the icon here is not the white paper we're seeing. We are seeing a folder icon. This is Zotero telling you that I am seeing a lot of files that I have access to, and I can get information on it for you. If you click here, Zotero is telling that I have metadata on Chinese aid system. Is Chinese aid different? Chinese aid policies, shama, all these files, I am having access to their metadata. If I go ahead and choose select all, and I click on OK, and then saying it is saving to day one F2, I said, okay, that's what I wanted to say. Zotero will gradually gather the metadata of all
Sorry,
these
sir.
files.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Please, sorry, but I keep hearing you say Shama, Shama, Shama. Please, can you, what is Shama? Thank you.
No. You caught me off guard. Now, the Shema is just a jargon I'm basically using to not wanting to read verbatim, word for word, all these lines. That's what I was saying, Shema, Shema, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
I should have seen the name of which chipped with that funny comment. All right. So now, let's see if Zotero has been able to do something. Great. So you realize that in just a few clicks, Zotero has put all these files in my day one F2 folder. And some of these files even have the associated PDF. So we have a literature review on China's aid, right? We have the PDF. We have China's aid policies. This one, no PDF. Chinese aid and local corruption, no PDF. Chinese aid to Africa, we have the PDF, right? Then we have this one, we have the PDF. Through it all, we even have a book, but as in a book metadata, but the book is not associated. So that option, or this particular option, works well for those who perhaps maybe you want to do a literature review, or you are trying to gain some knowledge on a particular field or theme of research. So you want to have access to a lot of write-ups on that particular theme or in a particular keyword. This option works very well for you. Okay, you can use the Google Scholar option. Once you come here, you basically select. So Zotero will gather all these files. If I put in another keyword, I could not see on Google Scholar. All right, so let's try one more time. Okay, Google Scholar. So let's use maybe another keyword. Let's use Ghana. All right, so when we use Ghana, these are the write-ups or documentation we did. I think you should pay attention because I'm trying once again for your sake, okay? So we have all this coming up when we enter the keyword Ghana. Zotero is still showing this icon folder, telling us that it has access to multiple files. So he's saying that this is a book, this is a book, this is a web page, this is a book, this is a book, this is a book. All right, this is a book, this is a book. If you want all these items in your Zotero library, just choose select all. And then you choose OK. Zotero is saying I'm saving these files to day one F2 folder. And if you are okay with it, that is it, right? And Zotero will start gathering the information, all the metadata it can. If we come here to our Zotero, we see that the books have started popping up over here as Zotero downloads it. Now, like I said earlier on, it's based on the strength of your internet, right? So you see that Zotero has given us all the information. Now here, most of these books perhaps were not open access, but we have a few of them being open access. So here we have Ghana, the autobiography. So since this is an open access, when we double click on it, we can view the book itself. So this is Class Struggle in Africa, Kwame Nkrumah, right? So we have all this information over here. We go back to our library, other documents, right? This one too, we had the document associated. We open, the economy of Ghana, 50 years of economic development. You go through, right? So that's a great tool to use if you want to do a lot of things at a go. The Google Scholar approach works well. That's one way. Are we good? DA, are you okay? Did you get it? Is there any question related to this approach I just did? Before we go on to maybe another trick I just want to teach you before we move away from Google Scholar. Quickly, if there are no questions, you can just respond with feedback, with maybe emojis or okay or yes or something before I proceed. All right. I guess the silence means people are following. Great. So now, what if maybe you just saw one file, you just want to cite one file in Google Scholar. One thing you can do is also let's use another keyword. What keyword should we use? Let's go with development. I see a hand raised. Noel. Noel, you can come in if that was you trying to signal that you have a question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so saving the item from maybe saving the
Can
file
you
from
please,
Google
Noel, can you
Scholar.
please speak up a
I
bit?
did that, but I can't really find. Okay, so please, can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm trying to lean in.
Please, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. Noel, you can go on. I can hear you.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, after saving the files, after saving the documents from Google Scholar, I don't find them in the folder, the specified folder of Zotero again.
All
The
right.
folder is empty when I go to my
Okay.
library.
All right. So if it is not a problem of your internet, then maybe you saved into the wrong folder. So now, once you are saving, you click here. Remember, Zotero asks you, Zotero asks you over here, where do you want to save it to? So you should make sure that you are saving to the folder of your choice. So everything here is basically showing the folders in your Zotero. So you have to make sure that your selected folder is the destination where you want the files you are downloading or saving to go to. So no, you can try one more time. If that is not the case, then maybe your internet
Okay.
is perhaps the issue. So try one more time and then give us feedback. Is that okay?
Okay, because it says then you see done at the bottom of that small pop-up menu.
This done. Oh, normally you don't necessarily have to click
select
on
saving
done.
to.
Once you approve, Zotero will still save even if you don't click on done. You can only click on done when you click this drop-down arrow. So for example, let's try one more, okay? So let's delete our folder. Is it working now, Noel?
No, it's not working.
So you keep trying. Maybe it might be your internet. Because sometimes Zotero is downloading a lot of files. It may take some time. So just give it a bit. Just give it maybe some few more seconds and let's see, and then get back to us. So maybe let's delete this sub collection so that we don't have too much stuff. All right, and then let's create another sub collection. All right, so the one, maybe F3. Let's make it F3, right? You realize that we don't have anything here. Let's go back to our browser. Now we entered a different keyword. Okay, so this is the keyword we entered, development. So we click here. We assume that, okay, we want all these files. We click select all. I click on OK. Zotero is telling me I am saving to D1 F3. And then I realize that I didn't have to click on done. Automatically, Zotero proceeds and gets access to all these files. Right? And now you can come to your, let's close this. So it gets a lot of files. It even tells me, oh, this one I got a PDF. This one I also got a PDF. So it is signaling me all this info. Right? Now let's come to day one. I hope I didn't save in the wrong folder. All right, so let's come to this. Let's go and check again where we saved it. Okay, it was set to D1 F3, so it should be in D1 F3. All right, so let's give it a bit. Sometimes the internet will cause some delays, all right, which is normal. So let's give it a bit. Let's try again. Select all and then, okay. So sometimes if you want to quicken it, normally what I sometimes do is I try to click down to always confirm again, though I'm seeing it here, to confirm again, and then click on done. For me, I feel like sometimes it works better for me. I am suspecting the reason why it's not populated here is because for some of the files, you realize that there was a pop-up icon on the screen. It shows that for some of the files that Zotero is trying to download, maybe there may be some complications happening behind the scene, and the internet or Zotero is still trying to communicate with that particular file. Nevertheless, I think the point has already been made clear. Let's try to handle it one after the other, and maybe that should reduce the load on Zotero. So DRM saying on Google Scholar I can't save to. Maybe size space doesn't match. Now this extension is strictly for Zotero. All right, this extension is strictly for Zotero. So I think you should be able to see it if you have the extension there. The saving to is basically Zotero telling you that I'm putting this information over here in this folder. I hope that is okay. And Noel, can you come back to us if you have made progress? So you can choose.
Hello, sir. Please. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Please, it's still the same. It says you could see all the files lined up. After that, when you go to Zotero, it's empty. I even closed my Zotero, opened it again, and tried saving, but it's still the same. But you could see all the files lined up. All the files I selected.
Yes, then I think it might be an internet issue. Or
I think I'm also facing it. I'm also facing the same challenge. Yes, yes.
All right. So maybe that may be a specific problem associated with the bulk download. So let's try. Let's try the single approach, okay? I already deleted my folder. I can see a lot of people are saying it is not working. So maybe that may be a bug or maybe a shortfall, maybe a bug or something associated with the bulk download. But normally, what I would typically recommend is when you go to Google Scholar, one thing you can do is, because definitely, I know that definitely most often you wouldn't need all these files.
Oh, yeah, mine was able to work.
Okay, yours work. Okay, that's good. Okay, so at least you know that is how, if you want to really get access to bulk download, that is one approach you can use. What if you need selected documents, right? Selected files. If you need just selected files, normally what I typically do is I just come to that particular file that I want to have access to their metadata, and then you click on Sites. Once you click on Sites here, you have this pop-up box here, right? And then you have it gives you this MLA, Shama Shama. It's even because I'm saying Shama Shama, what the guy had said earlier on is ringing in my mind. So maybe I should say blah, blah, blah. We have all these stuffs here, the various citation style, right? Other citation style. And then it shows here BibTeX, EndNote, RefMan, and then RefWorks. Okay, we will not go too much into these are other concepts, but not for today. You can just click on RefMan. Once you click on RefMan, Zotero will tell you, okay, I am saving this file to this particular folder. And Zotero can still get it over there. So you see here, Zotero has put this folder, this file here, this metadata. I'll try one more time. Okay, so you come here. Let's use another file. So maybe you see handbook. Let's go with handbook of developmental disabilities. You click on site here. It shows you, and then just click on RefMan. And Zotero will still get that metadata for you to use for your citation. So we go back to our Zotero, realize that it has given us a book. Are we good? And I know that on a typical day, this is what you will want to do. You may not want to do the bulk download because definitely there will be a lot of information here that you not need. So I think hardly will you need to do a bulk download like what we did here. Okay. And you realize that for those of you who are trying, it seems this one is more of a big burden on Zotero than doing it individually. Okay. Are we good? I want us to move over to how to at least use the remaining minutes to start looking at how to cite maybe you are working out or you are doing a paper, how to cite documents. Is there any question about adding literature into Zotero before we switch over? Quickly, I just want to give some few seconds. All right, if you are good, can we respond maybe with a thumbs up? If you're okay, maybe a thumbs up will do. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. All right, great.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I hear someone speaking.
Hello,
You
sir.
can flow. Noel, yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, please, so let's come to the internet issue here. Do we need our VPNs on to make Zotero work effectively?
I don't really know. Mostly my VPN is on. I think if you are accessing Google Scholar, you need VPN if you are in this land of China. So if you are in China, I believe you need VPN for it to work. At least if you are working on Google Scholar. But if you are not accessing Google Scholar, any website you are able to open, Zotero should be able to get the information for you. I hope you understand. So as long as you have internet and your browser is able to open a particular website, Zotero can access that file. So it's not really necessarily an issue about VPN. But for us in China, we know that we need VPN to access Google Scholar.
Okay, please, I'm in China, but sometimes when you are, let's say you are downloading from a school's library, sometimes I just want to know if Zotero on its own can operate without VPN.
Oh, yes.
Because maybe the school's library, you don't need a VPN to access the school's library.
Yes. So as long as you have internet, you should be fine. The Zotero browser connector can get you any information as long as you have internet. Even when you're on the school's library, whatever it is, the school's library internet or whatever it is, Zotero can still work fine. As long as you have access to the internet through the school library or through your personal operator, whatever it is, you shouldn't have problem. All right, I hope that helps. And okay, now I want you all to open your Word document. I don't know, looking at our time, because I really want to respect time. Maybe we might not be able to finish. Let's see. Okay, let's see how things go. But I want us to close on time. Okay, so now let's open our Word document. All right, so this is my Word document. If your Word document is open, just type open or just give us a thumbs up quickly. Or just tell us it's open so that we carry it along quickly. Howda. All right, great. So now, if you correctly installed Zotero, you should have this tab over here. This tab, right? The Zotero tab over here, and you should have these options here, add/edit, and then insert note, whatever it is. Okay. Now, I just generated a random text. Okay, let's generate maybe a few more. And let's assume this is the text this is our research that we have typed, right? You want to maybe be citing and doing stuff. So now let's first start with an in-text citation. Okay, let's start with an in-text citation. Now it takes place in many forms. In-text citation can be direct and then indirect. I would break them down. So an indirect citation is basically where you make a statement or a factual statement, and you are indirectly saying that this factual statement that I'm making, these people are those who provide evidence, these people are those who provide the fact or the source. So normally what we do is we place our cursor where we want to insert the citation, right? And then you come over here, add/edit citation, then you click on it. And then if it's the first time you are coming to insert a citation in the document, you would have this pop-up box on your screen. It is asking you which citation style are you going with? Are you going with APA or Chicago or IEE, blah, 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 sama. You just choose. Okay, so let's go with APA, 7th edition. All right, I just click on that one. Please, okay. And then it gives me info. Okay, it's giving you all this note because this is the first time you are typing both of them. All right, so it's telling you that, okay, you can type here and then search for various tabs. Now, one thing is true about Zotero is that you can use any keyword. The keyword can be a keyword in the topic, the author's name, blah, blah, whatever is considered a keyword. So for example, and now when you are searching here, Zotero will be searching your whole library, not only this folder, it will be searching everything in your library. It will be searching everything here to assess what particular thing you want to cite. So let's come back to this dialog of this box here. All right, let's go. Okay, so this is our pop-up here. And then I can type any keyword. Even if I use my name, it will access my own document in my library, right? If I use Shadrach, did I use Shadrach in one of them? If I use Shadrach, you realize that you see this access, and I think I use Ramo. I've forgotten the name. Let's go with Ramo. I remember something Ramo. Great. So you realize that you see it is accessing all those custom files with paper. Right. So now let's say this is a document you want to cite. We click on it. If there's another document we want to add, okay, let's add the one we keep it to sample. Add it. Right. And then this is it. Okay. Once you click OK or go, it will create this in-text, this indirect citation. Now, can someone guess why we have n.b over here? Anyone forget? For this first one, we have 2026. But for the Sabbath, we have n.b. Anyone can help that?
Because there's no date.
Powerful, very good. Because maybe we forgot to add the year. So let's go to our Zotero. I hope I didn't delete that file. And let's see, I believe it should be in day one. Or better still, you can search here. So you can search other. Then we have it over here. Great. So we can do research also. Make it 20%. So just like you said, we don't have any year. We don't have a publisher. So that's why it's and once we put dates here, 2026. Let's put the publisher here. NUGS. Then click enter. Now let's go back to our Word document. Right? Once we click refresh, it will automatically change and update. Now, subtract into 26. So this is how you do an in-text indirect like this. Now, in case, okay, perhaps you did what this realize, no, for what on paper, I have to add a paper to this list here. You can just click anywhere within this citation. Now, you realize that it's automatically highlighted. You say that Zotero actually picks up all this text onto you. So you just have to come to add or edit. Then Zotero will give you the opportunity to make adjustments. So let's add maybe another author. Let's type the keyword news to see if there's any other document. So we have NUGS training report. Let's click on that as well. Once you click enter, are we on the same page? Have you finished trying that out quickly before I add all that stuff? Now I get feedback. Matthew says, please, can you go that of I think that it's also our power. Any other question? Please, there feel free. So let's try one more time for Matthew. Okay. So let's delete this part. Let's delete it. So we have now deleted it. We don't have any in-text citations. What we want to do is we have to click add or edit. And then we can use this option here to search using any keyword. If I type Ghana, remember we downloaded some files related to Ghana. It gives me all those files that have Ghana as a keyword. Right? You type NUGS, you give me all those files that have NUGS as a keyword. And then you can select as many as you want to type. So let's go with this. Let's type NUGS again. Then let's go with this one. Then just type enter, or you press enter, or you just click on this arrow, and then the Zotero will automatically put all this here. If you want to do it right, one way is just click on it. You realize that the Zotero will automatically highlight everything that you inserted as a in-text document. If you want to make changes, right, you just make sure you place your cursor and then click add or edit. So Zotero will pop up again and tell you, oh, what do you want to do? What do you want to know? Oh, I want to ask new file or whatever it is, new citation, anything. All right, use this one. Press enter to add that. All right, is that okay now? Big brother Matthew, are we go? Any other question? Shall we proceed?
So my question is, what if you are citing and the document you don't have it in your library? Can you still cite? What are the means to cite that? Or unless you just have to download all the documents in the library before you can cite?
Good question. Now, you can only cite using the tool when you have the metadata. Let's go back. The metadata is this file. Okay. Metadata, this, if I say metadata, this is what I mean. As long as Zotero have this, you can use the slide. Even if you don't have the document, the PDF. Is that okay? So as long as Zotero has this information you see here on the right side of the screen, Zotero, because Zotero using this information for your in-text citation and reference. So if you want to cite, it means you have to get this one in Zotero, even if you don't have the PDF. The PDF is not what Zotero uses for the reference information. Zotero uses the metadata, the title of the paper, the author, the year, those kind of stuff. Zotero needs that you can cite. Does that help?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so back to where we were. Now, so this is one way. Now, I know that sometimes maybe you want to say, okay, all this is what I'm saying, I'm talking about this particular person's paper. He made this statement in maybe page 2, or he made this statement in chapter 4 of his book. Or you want to make some other additions. How then do you go about it? So you just have to calculate, then click on add or edit. Now let's clear everything. Let's make it just one total. And then let's see. Now if you see this drop down arrow, you see a drop down arrow. That is what you have to do. You know, sometimes what you see people doing is, let me close it. You see people tampering with the text here. They will come here after they inserted the hotel, then they'll come here, they will come and make a space. Then they'll type page 4, right? Or maybe chapter 6. You don't have to do that. When you do that, you are tampering with Zotero's inbuilt, should I say code or algorithm or whatever the scientist, the computer scientist call it. You don't have to do that. You don't have to tamper with anything that Zotero automatically generates here based on the command you give. So I'll reverse these changes. What you have to do is just to click on the add or edit. And then whatever it is that you want to do, you can do that here. So for example, when I click on this drop down arrow, it gives you the option. Do you want to specify a page number? If I choose page 66, Zotero will put the page number automatically there for me. So you see now it says, okay, we are quoting about it, so page 66. I don't have to manually type it first. If I click to edit it again, maybe now I'm not talking about page, I'm talking about chapter. And just click the chapter. Chapter 6. Click down. You say, okay, the reference is this, chapter 6. So you can modify it to suit whatever I think that perhaps you want to do up there, right? If you, based on what you are typing, right, you can do various kind of things. Okay, have you tried that out? Does that work well for you? Like, I want to get feedback before I go to the next thing. Okay, so you can find maybe a chapter or page number. All right, cool. So things are good. All right, now, so let's clear this. Maybe you don't want to use page number, or you're not referencing the page number. You can even use paragraph, right? Based on what you do. Maybe you don't want to reference paragraph, but you want to say, you know, sometimes people are like, okay, see, for example, right? See, for example, you don't have to come and text the C, for example, here. No, you don't have to do that. You just have to click, come to add or edit, and then come down here and then choose preference. And then in the preference box, you choose maybe C. For example, this paper. And I click on that, and then it will automatically put the text there for you. For example, about the hotel. What if, okay, you want to rather add a note as a subject? Click on it, come to add or edit, right? And click the drop down arrow, choose subject. Then you can put anything if it's there. What's the right thing? Is where blah 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 blah. Look down and tab. This is there for you. Are we good with this in-text indirect citation? So these are indirect citation. That works for quick feedback. Great. All right. Now, how then do we do a direct citation? So in-text. You know, sometimes you want to feel like, okay, let me say something like Shadrach, let's say another name. Let's use Noel. You need to also ask a question. Noel, Etel, right? Let me do something like Noel, Etel 2026. Discovered that blah, 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 blah. All right. Sometimes what people wrongly do is they will do something like, okay, they will add a reference. Okay. Maybe let's go with this. Let's go with this. And then they will now come here. They'll now come and put an open bracket here and close this. When you do that, they are come. Okay. And that will give you telling you to look up on. What you have to do, okay, let's reverse it. So what you have to do is to still insert your whatever it is that you want to type. And then you click on the drop down arrow and just please omit buttons. I just click omit buttons. Right. And I click omit button and I click that. Okay. Now remember, you can just click, I just copy the office name to make yourself. If you don't want to type the office, you just copy it. right? And make sure oblique author is click. Okay, let's say click down, go ahead, and then you should realize that once I click this 2019 was automatically highlighted, showing that the table is there. And then I can just now type, what do you call it, the author's name, maybe Shadrach Zotero, and then when you do this, it means you're not tampering with Zotero's inbuilt citation. Let's try something now, just to be the practical tool. Maybe that makes sense. Let's try something. So I've cited this way. Okay, let's edit the remove the mix of let's take that, look down, and rather delete this after this way it means bracket check. And now let's try to now put in our reference. Let's so I now want to populate and list all the stuff I've cited in my document. Okay. If you want to do that, you just have to click here, add or edit, look up. Once I click here, you realize that I have this list over here. Avoid Zablowski, these are the words. These are avoid, and then this is Zablowski. Right. Now, you realize that now Zotero is saying, bro, you have modified this citation since Zotero generated editing will clear your modification. You want to continue. The Zotero is saying, bro, this is what I gave you. Original, Zablowski et al. Everything was in bracket. Now you have modified it. You are telling me you don't want this bracket here. You have put this bracket here. So what should I do? You want to continue? If you continue to clear all your modifications, okay, continue. Right? Zotero now clear everything back to square one. So that is why you don't have to manually tamper with Zotero automatically generated citation. If you want to do a direct citing in text, just omit the author and then type out the author's name. Just like today. I'll try one more time. So maybe I'll add paper here. Let's go with notes. And then put this example here. And then I'll just omit the author and just insert the year. When you omit the author, I still pick the year. And now I will just type an example. Right. Now, if I choose to edit again, the will not tell me you have modified more. The will just go back to the box. It doesn't tell me that make to me now clean date or clean. So that is how you should do your what do you call it? Your in-text direct and then indirect citation. Now let's do some citing of maybe proper words for our reference. So I'll cite some words. So let's put the clear example and then let's do this one. Manipulation. So before we come to step, I will type in now question. Now, realize that automatically Zotero updates its path. Automatically adding the new works are cited. So maybe you submitted this paper to a particular journal, Journal A, and Journal A says, no, we don't use APA. We use IEEE. What should we do? Now you can imagine if you had manually typed out all these references, that would be another work for you to do. So that's why you should never type your citation or your reference to whatever it has to do. Don't have to do with that. So what you can do is basically, all right, you click on this. There are many ways to do it. No, there's one main way to go about it, right? So I'm going to take out here. So when you come here, you see document preferences. Okay, so it's set to APA file 7 edition. Right. You have the large link to go to and see any other file. Maybe the journal you are submitting now is the one I'll say you are the one I or the one nature, and then you just choose. So let's go with maybe something like travel. Just select and then click OK. Then Zotero will automatically update it to ML. You might see the thing with ML. And change the name of let's choose IE. Let's go with IE and see what happens. So IE, see, Zotero now changes this thing. It doesn't only make the change here, it goes to the document and make the changes here. So you see, this IE citation, it needs numbers. So the automatically changes it to numbers. Now we are not seeing name, we are seeing 4, 5, 6, 3, 2, 1. So that's the luxury of time, or the time, amount of time your fellow can save you if you were to make everything.
Please, the numbers again.
Yeah, come again.
The numbers here.
You want me to fight again?
Number.
The number. Let's see. Oh, these numbers are just IEE in form of citation. So it depends on your field. So if you want to change, you just have to come to document preferences and then choose your field. Maybe if it's your TV, you have to know the citation style that your school demands, your school basically adopt. So we have APA, MLA. So now let's use another one. Let's go with maybe nature. If you choose nature, nature was automatically changing the style. And now see what it does. Here's a different sort. So this is what we have here. If you choose another one, maybe Elsevier, click on OK. Give us another form. BA, hope you get it now.
Hello, Doc, please.
Yeah, I'm on.
Hello, Doc.
Yes.
Yes, please. I'm sorry. How you were able to get the references at the last end? I
Okay.
think it's
Let's find out. So let's assume you have your in-text citation, right? We apply the log paragraph inserted text. Okay, let's go. Now you want to insert your reference link. You now want to insert the reference link maybe at the end of the document. How do you go about it? All right. So you just have to click here, this particular icon over here. It says add/edit bibliography. Once you click here, the Zotero will now put in the full citation info of all the document or all the words you cited in your text. Just place your cursor anywhere you want the link to come. Then click on add/edit bibliography. Then Zotero will not tell you something. Miss Ramona, is that clear now?
yes, please. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? We are running out. We just have about 7 minutes. Okay. So maybe few other steps. Let's assume maybe I want to edit. All right. Yeah. But I check here, I didn't find my referencing style. Okay, that or the citation style that I'm looking for. Right, you can just come and choose Monday style. Once you choose Monday style, it gives you the full list. If so, you don't find what you are looking for, you can just click on get additional style. Click on it. And then now we can use keywords to set all these are citation style. So let's select something. Let's go with administrative science totally. Let's click on it. So you see now over here. Right? Administrative science. So now it's now half time. So now if you go to document preferences, if you be able to see in that take over the administrative science. Totally, once you click on OK, now we can change the citing to administrative science. Totally, there is that file. If you go here, you can check to see now here, it is rather beginning with first name abbreviation and ending with surname for the first copy. Are we on the same page? Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Yeah, about running out.
Yes.
All right. Great. So those are the main ways you go about. And I think what I've taught today basically will constitute 90% how to use Zotero for your reference management managing the mistakes. All right. I'll just give maybe a minute or two, maybe someone missed out on something before I run up. Now, as we wait, you see this option here, this option will just refresh, right? This on-link option here, normally you may not give me much. What this basically does is it on-links your citation. So it means once you click this, it will now on-link your citation so that when you make changes here, it will not automatically reflect. Okay, so that's why I've got touch and make it, because normally I like to put it link all the time so that anytime I make changes and I click on the correction or something, I don't have to link the thing. But the will automatically always keep things updated. Especially if you are working on a laptop, that will be quite very helpful. We don't have much time. I would have loved to take us through how to sync across multiple computers. For example, some of you are the lab guy. You have a computer you use in the lab, and then you have a computer you use at home, right? And then you have a computer you use maybe somewhere else. You use different systems to be working on the same project. All right. I think our next meeting, we will start off from there. We will go through how to sync your Zotero such that if maybe in the morning I am working on the computer at home and I put some files in Zotero, if in the afternoon I go to my office, I can still have access to the file I uploaded onto my computer that I have at home. I can still access it from my office, or I can still access it from my lab computer. And then the next thing we also would want to look at is how to create groups for collaborative projects. For example, maybe you are in China, so you are working on a project with another author who is in maybe the US or who is in Ghana, and you want to create a Zotero group or folder where any document you put there, you can have access to it. The person who is in the US can also have access to it. You will look at that, right? And then we'll also look at how to back up files. How to back up files in Zotero. We'll also look at that. And then we will now look at memory as well. That will be the plan for our meeting to come next week, Thursday, same time. All right, we have 1 minute. Any question? Any question before we run out our question?
Hello, doctor.
Yeah.
Please, wouldn't there be any attendance like the previous classes?
Hey, thank you. Let me confirm with my big bosses if there are some protocols I have to observe before I end. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me just. Miss Irene, are you there? Family, let's just give a minute. And maybe I might have missed out on something. Okay, so you're saying I have to take screenshot of participant. All right, give me a minute. So let me stop. So I'll take screenshot. Give me a minute. So I'm the first question. There's a minute. Okay, so I've been able to take the screenshot. The session was also recorded, so eventually it will still be put up on the NUGS YouTube channel in case you might need to go back to it. Thank you all for making this session practical and active one, and then see you God willing next week. So enjoy and
Please, when is our next meeting?
so it's next Thursday. Our meetings are only on Thursday.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good night.